to find out what is the story behind the many sphinx that we'll find, if it's one sphinx or two or more than one sphinx, or this, in general, it's the second sphinx that was found, or the number of sphinx that were found later in the Giza Plateau and many places, other places scattered in Egypt. Of course, nobody else better to tell us about these stories and more than our prominent guest, Mr. Bassam Shamaa, historian and author of Egyptologist. Good morning,
Good morning
Mr.
to you, my dear.
Shamaa.
Good morning to you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you very much.
A very good morning to you, sir. And as Gina mentioned, we are going once again to tackle the issue of the other sphinxes. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right or no. But regarding this issue, last time you have kindly mentioned that many evidences are there to prove that there was another sphinx, despite the fact, another main one, I may say, in front of the one in Giza Plateau. And we did have many proofs or many evidences. But let's have a quick idea first. Why should we think that there was a lot of other sphinxes, or at least another main one in the Giza Plateau, briefly to those who were not with us last week?
And indeed, why then, when we go to visit the Sphinx at Giza, we should be surprised, we should be gobsmacked, we should be feeling very ambiguous about only one Sphinx. So what I'm trying to tell you here, tell our dear viewers, is that you should be surprised and you should put a huge question mark on why is it always one Sphinx in Giza, but always double Sphinxes everywhere else. The Karnak temples we mentioned, the double avenue of ram-headed Sphinxes on the right and on the left. The Luxor Niktanibbu, the famous king of ancient Egypt, the Niktanibbu double avenue of human-headed Sphinxes in front of the Luxor temple. Here is one on the right, some and some on the left. So why always the symmetrical design of ancient Egypt, that belief, that concept, that aspect of duplicity always on reality, on the ground of reality, not the symbolic duplicity, the symbolic symmetrical design. It's always the double. It's always what's happening to the right is always happening to the left. If the protection comes from the right by a Sphinx, why then the king is not protected from the other side? That's the questions that you should ask yourself when you stand in front of the Sphinx. And that's exactly what Professor Vivian Davis told me when I was a young tour guide. Took me by the hand in front of the Sphinx and pointed at the Sphinx of Giza, the main one, the existing one, the current one, if you like. And he goes, here is a Sphinx. Where is the second one? And he left. And I didn't see the gentleman afterwards. He changed my life by one sentence. 1990s, I started to pursue that theory, and I've been working on it since then. All sorts of lectures here, lectures in the United States and England and so on and so forth, and books and stuff, to the point we reach at the end, there should be at least remainings of the second Sphinx in Giza. And we called it the second Sphinx. The British called it Bassam second Sphinx. So the idea is there any remaining? Last Saturday, I showed you the yellow spot, which NASA told me that it was a carved natural stone. Was it carved naturally by human hands? They didn't know because they're not geologists. Today, I'm bringing you the idea of why should we have lions anyway? I mean, why the lion? The idea of the lion, why? Is this, did it exist in Egypt? Why did the Egyptians get this so impressive attitude towards that animal? The place where the Sphinx is not haphazard. We learned in the past that it was a block of stone which was kind of blocking the way of the workers going up to build the pyramids, so they decided to make a use of it, so they carved it in form of a Sphinx. I think this idea, this theory, this, I don't know, that they are teaching, and this is very naive. This is very naive. I mean, we learned it when we were young, and then when you grow up and you start questioning yourself, questioning what the people tell you in history, you think to yourself, wow, how naive is this? What the ancient Egyptians, building a pyramid and then a block of stone blocking their way. Well, the desert is so vast right in front of you and so wide that you can use any path if you like. So this business of, because there was this block blocking their way and that they made a use of it and they converted into a body of a lion and a human head, that's a little bit naive, maybe a little bit wrong. The concept, if you look at this area the theory is telling us, a gentleman said a very interesting story. This area that you stand in front of the Sphinx, is not totally desert and not totally green. The River Nile, the flooding, the lands, the pastures, the green pastures of the peasant farmers, the beauty of green, that's one side. That's Nazlet Siman now, if you like, and the lands behind it.
But was it the same thousands of years ago?
No, but that was a green part because
Yeah.
of the flooding reaching that area. So the water and the silt and the mud reached there. So we can say that this is a green area with water. Water means greenery, means fruits, vegetables, agriculture, animals, gazelles. Now, who likes gazelles but the lions?
Lions.
Who likes humans but the lions? Where is the lion is kind of recumbent, waiting for their prey in the desert. So, did the ancient Egyptian see the lion as a huge villain, if you like, from the desert all the way to greenery, grab its gazelle prey and back to feed on it and then the family? This journey, if you like, between desert, death, yellow, dry, crisis,
To life, green, agriculture on the other hand.
exactly. That journey of the line
Is this
passes...
described in any of the photos we have? Afaf is asking.
Not yet.
Okay, not yet.
In a second.
Okay.
So the area between today, Nazlet Siman, if you like, with this greenery and this, and the desert is that very area that the Sphinx is carved in. So the place that I saw the lines in is the place that I'm going to carve the line in. And that explains, according to the gentleman, that explains why line. Because lions were widespread in this area, one. Two, that area also was an arena for the king to make sports.
Hunting?
So the hunting sports. So they would bring lions and he will use the
Like
arrow and the bow
the Greek mythology also, like the Greek stories.
to come to the...
But was it an object for hunting at the, for because this is very important.
The lion,
But according to the pharaoh's culture, or did it stand for a more
the lion is exactly like the crocodile, is like the bull,
Just
is
an
like
animal.
the hippopotamus.
because
They
my
were
second question
taken
for you
deities.
was that was about to be like, what did it symbolize? Why did they choose the lion? Just because of these stories, or because the lion stands
Courage.
for something bigger than that?
Courage.
Values.
Courage, and we know courage because Ramesses III, for example, is saying, my soldiers in my army are roaring like mountain lions. So that sentence is giving us how lion was connected to courageousness, all sorts of
Like
things.
all cultures.
Like all cultures. But important to know that I believe also that there is a religious aspect behind the line, which I,
was
just
gonna ask you
explained.
that question.
Which I just explained. This business of yellow to green, green to yellow. This journey of the sun.
Resurrection.
This journey of the solar disk.
So was
from
it one of
sunrise
the
to
very
sunset.
popular gods for
Very. And that's
like
why
other gods? Popular
at that
gods in
time,
the pharaoh
the
culture?
beginning, I say, of any cult and religion in ancient Egypt was the lion. And that is why you don't get surprised to know that small amulets were carved in form of lions even before the Sphinx. Even before the Sphinx, there was small, in the Egyptian Museum.
But they look different.
A little bit. And then in Abu Sir, we go with the photos, please. And then we go with Abu Sir, and they found the most exquisite, unfinished lion head, or a lioness head. If you look at the first picture that I brought you, you will notice that carvings of, if you like, primitive carvings. We didn't reach yet the amazing art of ancient
Complicated
Egypt.
ones.
Yeah. So you will notice how a head of a lioness is carved.
Yeah.
Then later, you will notice Abu Sir is doing a magnificent unfinished lion. Oh, you will love that lion head when we start with our photos. And then
This
we
is
come
our first photo.
with-
And
This is a drawing
Yeah.
that shows one of the seals in ancient Egypt, and it's showing you lots of birds which looks like falcons. So falcons were also venerated, if you like. And then the lioness recumbent at the bottom. Let's take a look at the other one. So you will notice that lions were venerated even before the Sphinx, and that gives you an idea. Did the ancient Egypt, when the Egyptians get and carved that stone from the mother rock in form of a Sphinx, was it originally a lion?
What?
Was it? Was the Sphinx? Question, clear. Was the Sphinx of today, forget about my Sphinx now, the Sphinx of today, was it a lion before it was turned and converted into a human head lion?
Okay.
So here is a good question. Why? We already proved that lion was venerated before the Sphinx. So the only common sense that would come to your head is that when I carve a statue for the deity, for that mythological god, if you like, deity, if you like, then it must be a lion. And then priests will come. Cult will be more powerful in the temples and will turn the cult from a lion only into half lion, half king. Because the king is our coming deity. So now the king is
a
becoming
lion with a king's head, with a man's head.
With a
and
man's-
this man is the king.
the king.
Who?
And when who is another question.
Because you told us last time that it was...
everybody's saying Kafra.
No,
Everybody's saying Kafra, the Sphinx and Kafra. But
you've told us that one of those who restored the Sphinx was Khufu.
Exactly.
So how Khafra?
So how Khafra? Here is a question. So how Khafra? So here is the Abu Sir. I love this piece. I always love unfinished things in our culture. I don't like finished things.
Is it more expensive than...
It's more, if you like, it's more challenging, right? And also, I love what I like to call the pose in history. This is pose. This is the artisan and the sculpturer is doing his job, and then something happened and he stopped. So that is a pose in history. He didn't finish. He already started. Masterpiece, I say, even it's unfinished. So for me, the Mona Lisa is beautiful, but if it was a little bit vague on the left cheek, it would be more challenging for me. It will be more work to notice what's happening. Of course, the execution of the art is great and everything, but when you go to Memphis, you will find in Memphis unfinished statues, brilliant, standing from away. You can say, here is a man, he is proceeding with his left leg. You cannot see exactly. But something happened and the artisan stopped. And that pose in history, stop here, that particular moment is what interests me. So, instead of the lion head, I'm turning it into a human head, right? But I don't want to lose the lion. So what do? You invent the nemes. And the nemes in hieroglyphs is the cloth material, if you like. Royal headdress, you got it now?
Right.
It's exactly like what your hair is done today. Your hair is going wide a little bit here, right? So this is your mane. The lion, in your case, the lioness, mane. So as if the hair of the lion is there, but it's not the hair.
And it's also the pose.
And it's the pose, recumbent. So
how come it's not a lion? It has the pose of a cat.
Well, it is the family, if you like. It's the family. Interesting question is, next time you guys go to the Sphinx, take a closer look. You will notice that the head, in proportion, is smaller than the body.
Yes, it is.
So it's
The head of the Sphinx is in proportion to the body. Don't tell me that's a mistake. The guy just finished a pyramid. So
that's true.
no, we're
And
not talking
also
about mistakes of measurements.
The physique of the statue also
Somebody
tells that this is
who
a lion.
studied, of course, textbook anatomy of animals. So don't tell me this is a mistake made by the artisan in such a huge project. Especially when we now know that he is so into it that he's now converting a huge project like this, which everybody sees, even the populace from away they will see. Now, so is that explanation why the head of today is smaller in proportion to the body? Very, very possible. Now, going back to your question, if Khufu was mentioned in the inventory stela that we saw last week, that he is going to Rashetto, to Giza, to restore and to repaint the Harem Akhet, And if he didn't mention the Hiram Akhid, I would tell you maybe he was talking about another Sphinx. But mentioning Hiram Akhid because that's the very name of the Sphinx of today. So indeed, oh indeed, let's take a look at the other picture here. What happened to the second Sphinx? Why is it the remainings of the second Sphinx? We notice from the inventory stele in the text is that there was thunder and lightning that fell down, struck Hiram Akhid. That's a text, ancient Egyptian text telling us the thunder and lightning came down and struck the Sphinx, destroyed the part of its ponytail of the nemes. This part is destroyed till today. Now, take a look at this picture. This is in the Egyptian Museum, not far away from Akhenaten's room, the ground floor. What? Nobody is giving it any care. This is Selim Hassan's job. This stela can change the history of Giza. And why is it always in some place that nobody is giving care about? I say to the Egyptian
That
Museum,
one, sir?
bring this exactly,
Okay.
the piece.
Okay, it
Bring-
was shown just before.
Exactly.
Seconds ago. Yes, that's it.
That the Sphinx wearing the crown. Crown? What crown? The Sphinx was wearing a crown? Here is your greatest surprise. Here is the theory turning into fact. Text is telling us thunder and lightning. Crown could be made out of metal. Metal attracts lightning.
Yep.
So when the lightning came down on Giza, it was attracted by the crown. Destroyed part of the back of the head. On the other side, struck a tree, sycamore. Between the sycamore hitting and fire, and between the hitting of the Sphinx of today and destruction of part of the nemes, what's in between? The second Sphinx. So why am I saying this was struck and this was struck, and I'm not saying that the second Sphinx was struck? Well, this could be the reason why the second Sphinx is destroyed. When you make the measurements, you will know. I noticed something amazing, that the yellow spot is not showing where the head is. So where the space of the head and the recumbent paws, no yellow spot, meaning no stone under the sand. The yellow spot is on the part of the body of the lion, which means that there could be a big percentage of that when the lightning came down, it struck the crown, struck the head, struck the paws, destroyed. And because it is the goddess of the dew, and the dew humidity destroys the temples, bad, I'm not going to restore you. All through history, not one attempt was made to restore or to recarve, if you like, or to rebuild, if you like, the second Sphinx.
They consider it a bad omen?
Humidity. It's dew. It's the goddess of dew. And dew comes down on the temples and the colors, and it destroys it. And that mixes with the ancient Egyptian text, I was with two, now I'm with one. The god of creation,
They
according
didn't
to
want
the mythology.
why didn't they want to restore it? I mean,
Because the inventory stira is telling us as the orders of the God of heaven.
they considered it like a bad
lightning.
omen to restore it?
Well, it was a decision, not even an omen. It was a decision made by heavens, according to the text. So
Forbidden.
if heavens
so it's
decide,
forbidden to do that.
if heavens decide to do this, according to the ancient Jewish belief, of course, if heavens decided to struck on a part of a statue, that means that's it. The grande finale. No more. And that's why this area, untouched. For Roman, Greek, Coptic, you name it, Persian, Nubian, Libyan, all those workers, all those guys who came and ruled Egypt, not one of them. They mentioned the story on a stela, but they didn't restore. Something stopped them from restoring the second Sphinx. Something indeed stopped them restoring the ponytail of the nemes, because it is the decision of the God of heaven to send thunder and lightning to struck this part of the area.
But Mr. Shamaa, over the years, I mean, over the centuries and over all the royal families that ruled and during the Pharaoh times, I mean, they did not change the culture and their devotion to a certain god, which could be on the first priority lines. I mean, why was it also only concerned with lions?
And others.
But
Because of the gigantic, of course, because it's the
It's
first.
very obvious.
It's the first. And it's always when the first comes, it's the most important. It's your roots.
What other symbols were there?
Oh, you name it, as we mentioned, crocodile. But remember, they would hunt lions. They would hunt crocodiles.
But we see
they
no
would hunt
statues or
hippos.
anything that personifies
This is divine.
this god.
Exactly. This is divine. But I'm always a practical person. I'm not going to stand in front of the crocodile, letting it swallow me, and then I say, "Oh, it's divine." Of course, there are loads and loads of sceneries in Saqqara, in the mastabas of Saqqara, where the Egyptian people are harpooning the hippopotami, harpooning the crocodiles, and both of them had statues in temples. Komombo, part of it is for Subek or Spek, the deity in the form of a crocodile. And they had a well to breed crocodiles in the temple, and then choose small crocodiles from, and make an amazing festival, Eid, a festival of making the small young crocodiles be wrapped in linen-colored cloth, feed them, and then throw them into the river Nile, and the crocodiles happily will be in the water, and the colors of the linen will spread, and this will be festivities. So the very same animal or reptile that you are hunting here, you are always making it in the temple in form of a sacred animal. What's the difference? The difference is that this should have a certain feature, like the bull, like the apis bull. Apis bull, not any bull. The bull should have certain features.
We can have a special episode to speak about the relation, or how the relation between the pharaohs and the animals, or how the animal used the pharaohs as symbols, or symbols of gods or goddesses, to be accurate. As I remember I asked you once about the black cat, and if this is something which we should verify, and should say if this is right or wrong, that it was a bad omen. No, it was not. And as far also I remember that the god of mummifying, it's Anubis. Anubis, it's a man but with the head of
a jackal.
And and there are a lot of other symbols, or a lot of other Horus, the king of heaven, or the guard of heaven. A lot of other issues, or a lot of other topics which we can speak about in details, about the relation between the pharaohs and the animals, and how they use them as symbols or gods.
I'll end with you in one sentence.
Okay.
From your words, you mentioned Horus, you mentioned Anubis, the jackal, we mentioned the crocodile, we mentioned. And then you mentioned the human body with the head of the bird or the animal.
Yep.
Last sentence I will tell you. Think about it, viewers. Think about it, you guys. Isn't that the strangest thing on earth? When you look at all deities in ancient Egypt for thousands of years, and they are all either animals or human with animal heads or birds' heads, right? And the Sphinx is the only character in ancient Egypt that made the opposite.
Yeah.
A lion body, an animal body, but a human head.
That raises questions. That's
Think
very
about
important.
it. Think about it. The answer is next week, inshallah.
Next week is going to be another week also speaking about this issue, because I think that it needs a lot of episodes to speak about the details of the more than one Sphinx we have. We are fortunate to have you, and we are fortunate to be Egyptians, and we should be that proud to be the grandsons and daughters of those guys.
Very true.
Well, by this we come to the end of this very first segment of the Breakfast Show. Stay tuned only on Nile TV International. We are going to return back right after the short break.